Hi, my name is Yi Yang. Today I'll give you a presentation of French New Wave. There are totally four parts in the presentation. They are historical context, key stylistic characteristics, examples of director's special mark, and its importance. The French New Wave film movement is a significant film movement with global influence in the cinematic history. The duration of the movement is about late 1950s to early 1960s. After World War II, with the fall of fascism, Europe has entered a period of plateau. What followed is the rigidity of society. The long-standing rigid society has caused the disillusionment of the ideals of the younger generation. Besides, French films around 1950 were mainly adapted from classical literature and well produced in film studio. This type of film was called cinema du papa or granddad's cinema. We can simply find the outdated, lifeless, and authoritative characteristics of the films at that time from this term. The new generation directors, such as Louis Malle, Jean-Luc Godard, and Eric Homer, they stood against this kind of rigid films. Of course, a crucial part of what defines the new wave is its ties to chaos du cinema, as several of the movement's key directors began their careers as critics for that influential journal, claimed by Rodley Hill. So now I'll come to some key stylistic characteristics of the French New Wave films. To against the so-called well-produced former French films, the new generation directors refused to make film with artificial scenery in film studio. What they advocated is shooting in the real location. Since then, this has become a rule in the industry. Besides, fixed studio lights are also replaced by appropriate supplementary lighting. Jack Rader claimed that the director privileges shooting in natural location and avoids building artificial sets in the studio. Generally, French New Wave movies have more different camera movements, such as pan shot, track shot, and handheld shot. These movements are often used when the camera follows the character in the scene. Thus, a lightweight camera that can be held in hand came into being. New Wave movies fully enjoy the freedom provided by this portable camera. Douglas Smith claimed that both Bazin and the chaos critics share a desire to exceed the frame of the conventional film image, whether through the camera movement or a wider screen. In terms of acting, the New Wave films preferred defamiliarization effect. In the film, there are always something like the director's voiceover or the character just directly look to the camera and speaking. These techniques are able to bring the audience back from the fantasy to the real world, which makes the audience maintain clear-headed. French New Wave is a revolution in film production. Filmmakers like Truffaut, Godard, and Chabrol criticized Hollywood's central producing system. They believed that film is an author's work, just like music, art, and literature. Auteurism emphasizes that director is the main creator and the only owner of the final editing right. However, not every director should be an author. A film made by a director who is qualified as a film author is an author film. The author-director is also the scenarist for the film, claimed by Rader. Jean-Luc Godard is one of the most typical New Wave directors. His films are often seen as challenging the shooting techniques and narrative styles of Hollywood films. The New Wave directors claimed that the essence of the film is realism, so they often apply long shot and complex mise-en-scène instead of unnecessary editing. Godard often uses continuous long shot to show the authenticity of the film, but at the same time, he boldly uses the jump cut techniques in his works as well. Now I'll show you an example of Godard's jump cut technique in the film Breathless.
De toute façon, j'ai mal à la tête.
On sera pas ensemble, mais je voudrais rester à côté de toi.
Non, ce n'est pas ça, Michel.
In this scene, Godard used jump cut to show the conversation between two characters. This was a rare technique at that time. The jump cut in the scene made the conversation more terse and put more content in a certain time. And it also gave the film a smooth rhythm, kept it jumping and interesting. The French New Wave film movement is the largest, most influential, and most effective film movement in the history of world cinema in the 20th century. It is the third film movement with global influence after European avant-garde movies and Italian neorealism. It doesn't have a fixed organization, a unified declaration, or a complex artistic program. This movement has left a valuable cultural heritage of film for France and the world, and its influence has spread to many countries. It is recognized as the boundary between traditional and modern films. And this is the reference of my presentation. Thank you for your listening.